All right, so it looks like we're doing part 3. As I said in part 2, I was going to come home. Amazon was going to deliver some pieces for me so that I could properly solder the DPF SCR wire harness, which one of the wires is frayed, flawed, split, whichever way you like to call it. So some of the things we have: black gloves. This is the heat shield. It came folded much like this. These are the heat resistant zip ties. This is solder. Looks like a syringe. You got to put it together. Comes like this. Soldering paste. The needles are like syringes, and that's perfect because the wires that I'm dealing with are very, very thin. And the ratchet is something I already had. This is also something I already had. You may want to pick you up one of these really small type soldering guns. This piece goes into the top here. You'll see it later. And it's got a digital screen. It all lights up. Looks like that. The TS100. And you go ahead and you start soldering your wires. Even got this copper spool desoldering wick. So we're gonna go ahead and get started because I don't have much daylight left. So let's take a closer look at the DPF system and the CAN bus cable. So when I was showing you in video 2 and 1, this aluminum heat shield, as you can see, it's pretty burnt up. It's been on here for the life of the truck. That's the reason I didn't cut the extras off these zip ties, because I knew I was going to come back and do this. So I'm going to remove the entire sheathing area here, and then you'll get a chance to see more in detail the wire that I use to connect these two together. I may still have to use it because with all the things I had going on today, you can guess it, I forgot to get wire. I'm gonna go check and see if I got some in the toolbox in the house, but I don't know, we'll have to see. Okay, so I did have some 14 gauge wire. 14 gauge. Considerably smaller in diameter than this. This is still connected. I'm gonna just leave it there. But this end here, once I took this heat shield off, it exposed all these wires. This end here used to connect there. It broke. This second one here you see with black tape, that one has a small gash in the casing of the wire. So the wire is exposed. It's not cracked, but it is exposed. So I don't know. But right now we have one of these little heat shrinks that I put on here. They come in a bag, and if you get a set of something, they come in a big bag. I've got my solder ready. I got this flux ready. Now all I have to do is plug in my soldering gun here, let it warm up to I think 300. It goes up to 300 or 400 degrees, I forget. Put the flux on here. Supposedly it's supposed to take all of the impurities out of the metal so that the solder can actually stick. Now you can solder straight to it like that, but it typically makes little balls of solder, and it doesn't just liquefy and melt, you know, like it does on Terminator 2. Instead, it does a little bit, it pulls up, and then it hardens really fast, and then it's a mess. You get little droplets, of solder all over the place. And at first I thought I was just not skilled enough to do it, but then I realized, oh, you're not using flux. So what I've seen guys do and what I do is you typically bend the tip like that, and once it's all warmed up, you just simply dab this on, and it'll pool or make a big puddle of this liquid metal, and then when it hardens and cools, it'll harden, and then you slide this sleeve up over it, apply heat to that, it'll shrink onto it, and then you can go on into the next step. So I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll be back. Alright, so we got the one done, and it's done all the way around mostly. Looks like I could get that part. Yeah. So, gotta get the bottom. I don't know how I missed that, but what I like to do is something that I seen online. You take the wire, splice it, split it into two, or separate it into two, and then on the other end, say this was the other end, you split this end the same way as the other one, and individually you take one half of this one and one half of that one, twist those together, do the same with the opposite side, twist those together, fold them over each other, and then fill it with solder. So, but I'm end up taking this off here in just a moment. I gotta get that black tape off. I gotta splice the wire that it goes to delicately, and then solder the two together, and it'll be a permanent situation. This is what failed. Let me see if I could show you real quick. I'm like fucking with it because I still need it. Alright. Half of it is destroyed. This whole half with the sandy colored stuff is half of the other one that's stuck inside. And it's this pin at the top right, as you can see, that helps the truck go into REGEN. So while I'm here, let me see if there's a code or part number, because they do sell these connectors, and I'm not seeing nothing. You can see it's broken due to the heat and because of mechanics jumping in on here and trying to hurry up and charge you $4,000-$5,000 real quick. Listen, man, these mechanics, they ain't gods. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of them are just technicians and don't even know what the hell they're doing. You care more about your equipment than they do, guaranteed. So if you've got the balls to jump in here and figure it out, man, I suggest you do it yourself. If you're confident that you won't mess nothing up, or even if you're just halfway confident you won't mess nothing up, man, it's still better to you doing most of this stuff yourself, because you're gonna deal with it real delicately and carefully, and because it's yours and you got to be in it, and last thing you want to be is stranded somewhere. So you're gonna make sure everything good, just like I'm finna do. I could just leave it like this, but no, we're gonna cover it all the way up in solder on all sides, and then we're gonna put that shrink wrap over it, or whatever that is, and then we're gonna do the other side the same way. We ain't gonna, half-ass it just because we can. We still recognize that we do need this whole assembly that goes to this device. Seems like I remember what this was called, but now I don't remember what it's called. but this harness is this, and it just goes down and it splits into two. So what I need is this harness. So I'm gonna take a photo of this later and see if I can't just get this harness. That does nothing for me on this end, because I would still need to get this harness, which goes way back in the back, up and around, and it links into this connector right here. It's on that half is the part that I would need. That's still gonna cost, Packard says $14.50. Vanderhaeg says $500. $5 discount, 5-finger discount says free. You know, we can put on a black mask and the hoodie and slide up under the truck and get this thing off. And I'm just fucking around. But it does come across mine now. I mean, shit, can't be a saint all your life. No, I'm fucking with you. Anyway, let me get back to this because it's starting to get dark. So I did not cut this wire. I just pulled the plastic off of it. I'm going to solder this one to it and then heat shrink it. Yeah, the whole thing. Actually, I'm going to tape it up and then heat shrink the whole thing. Actually, I can't even get a heat shrink over the ends of these connectors. Maybe I'll just be black taping this one. I didn't want to cut it for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't want to cut it from the harness, so I didn't. So let me get this knocked out and get this thing plugged in and make sure it works. So we soldered that connection, and then I put black tape around it. I should have left it open so that you could see the solder. It wasn't that great of a job, but I got plenty of solder on it, and the wire is definitely connected on there pretty strong. Like I said, I did not feel like cutting the wire completely from the connector, so I only did this one like that, and then this one I just took the rubber around the wire off and then just spliced this 14 gauge wire right into it. I didn't split it or cut it or anything. And it really don't matter because the connector is filed out as you've seen before, but for whatever reason I didn't want to do that. Hopefully it doesn't cost me in the future, but everything is pretty much wired up. The only thing to do now is to put some zip ties on this, put some heat shrink on it and some zip ties. Heat shrink. Put this heat shield is what I'm talking about. This heat shield on the wire, zip tie it, plug in the connectors, fire it up and see if it is still capable of doing a regen. So next time I come back, most of this should be cleaned up and buttoned up. Okay, so final situation. Got the heat shrink, or not the heat shrink, but the heat wrap shield, the heat resistant twist ties. I put those around the shield, and then I got one holding it up into place up here to keep it off of the DPF. It gets really hot in here. It goes across and down, just like the other one did. All the way to the back there. Few things I'm going to be taking OTR with me. One is not that nasty ass fly. Get the hell out of here. What's wrong with you? Why can't you fly? Is it time to die? Excuse me, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't like flies, and that one couldn't fly away for some reason. Anyway, the old heat shield, the new. you guys don't understand this, but one thing you will learn watching my videos is that I am in the hood, you guys, and we are not safe. But we can be safe, and I always got to keep my head on the swivel. Anyway, this is the new one. On the inside, it's got some like extra padding, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if you could really see it. If you could feel it, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's some pretty decent stuff. So it's that, and then on the exterior here, it tapes. So you wrap it and it tapes, and it's essentially the same width as this. So I was surprised to, you know, receive something that's exactly the same width. A lot longer though, because I had this extra piece that I didn't use. In this project we used splicers. We used something like a snip. Ooh. We brought these out. These are cable cutters that I got for the battery cable. Didn't need them. We used solder. This with a 17 millimeter socket. The twist ties, as you know. I don't even think I needed this stuff, not for this particular project. So maybe this is for like small electronics or something, and I'll probably just save this and leave this here too, because I didn't see the use of it. I did use this propane thing on low so that I could heat that heat shrink around the wire. Got that done pretty decent. I'm going to be throwing this old wire away because I'm going to be taking the 14 gauge spool. I think this is like 18 gauge. Is that how it works? No, this must be like, if that's 14, this is probably like 16, or the lower, the bigger. Yeah, so this is like 10, 12. So I'm taking a 14 with me, and I'm taking a couple of these little heat shrink things too, and the black tape was already coming. So that is essentially it. I already started it and I already cycled it to do a regen. I turned it off because it's only at like 14% soot. It'd be a waste of time to do the whole regen, but it did work. It is idling like it should. It's just got to hold up now. So yeah, that's why we're going to take some of these tools on the road with us. Outside of that, man, I think I'll probably just do a separate video about something totally different. But with regard to the DPF SCR wire harness, well, you've actually seen me work on it today. It connects to this. It also connects back here. These two are a wire harness that go in and connect. There's another connector that I covered it up this time that connect here and roll right into the wiring harness for the SCR DPF filter, and that connects right there. And I think we went over the prices plenty of times, so you should know. You can fill in the blank on that one. You should know exactly what it costs by now. And the DPF filter is maybe a year old. It doesn't have 100,000 miles on it because I ain't put 100,000 miles on the truck. So yeah, I think we're good to go. Got another trip going to Florida, Tampa for, yeah, don't talk shit, 2,800. I'm going to Tampa for 2,800, and we ain't got no way to get back out of there. So 2-day run. We just got to make it happen and then figure out what the hell we're going to do when we get down there. In the meantime, man, I'm going to catch up with you guys. I hope you guys did learn something. And I will respond to that other commenter who asked me if I would buy one of these again if I had the chance. If I could do it all over again, would I buy another one? I'll answer that in the next video. Until then, I'll talk to you.